In this video, we are solving a trig equation, and the problem says, find all the values of a in the interval 0 is less than or equal to a is less than 360, such that 2 times the sine of a plus 1 is equal to the cosecant of a. Well, this is a bit of a problem for us because this trig equation has a sine and it also has a cosecant. And before you can solve a trig equation, you really like to get all of the trig functions to be the same, unless it's possible to factor. I don't see anything that I can factor here, so somehow I want to either turn this sine into an expression that has cosecants in it, or change this cosecant into an expression that has sines in it. Well, that's easy to do, right? Because what is a cosecant of a? A cosecant of a means the exact same thing as a 1 over the sine of a. So if we just replace the cosecant of a with what it's equal to in terms of sines, then everything will be sines, and that'll be a good start. So let's rewrite this. This is 2 times the sine of a plus 1 is equal to 1 over the sine of a. Now that all the trig functions are sines, we can actually even now do a u substitution. So let's let u equal the sine of a and rewrite everything that we see here in terms of u. So this gives us 2u plus 1 is equal to 1 over u. No problem. Now, I don't really like this fraction. Can you think of something I can do to make that fraction go away? I'm hoping that what you are thinking or saying is clear the fraction. What do we have to multiply 1 over u by to make that u go away? We have to multiply it by u. So we're going to multiply both sides by u. So this is u times 2u plus 1 is equal to u times 1 over u. Now we use the distributive property. U times 2u is 2u squared plus u times 1 is u is equal to, how about over here? This u is on top, this u is on the bottom, the u's cancel out, so u times 1 over u is 1. This is a quadratic equation, and you know that to solve a quadratic equation, you have to get it equal to 0. So this is 2u squared plus u minus 1 is equal to 0. That's exactly right. And now there's many options. A person could try factoring. A person could try using the quadratic formula. I believe that this one actually could be factored, although you're welcome to attempt using the quadratic formula because the quadratic formula will always work. I'm going to try factoring this. So I noticed that there isn't any greatest common factor except for 1, so we're going to break it into a product of 2 binomials. So here we have 2u and a u. That's the only way I can multiply two things together to get 2u squared, right? 2u and u is 2u squared. This subtraction sign means that these signs have to be different. I'm going to try putting a plus and a minus to start with. The only way I can multiply these two numbers together and get a 1 is if they're both 1s. Let's test it out. To test it, you multiply the outsides, you multiply the insides, and add them and see if you get the middle. 2u times negative 1 is negative 2u. 1 times u is u. Negative 2u plus u is negative u. That's not a positive u, so that's not quite it. Let's try another one. How about 2u and u has to be like that. This time, instead of having a plus 1 and a minus 1, how about if we have a minus 1 and a plus 1? Well, now we can test this out. 2u times 1 is 2u. Negative 1 times u is negative u. 2u plus negative u is u, and that is the number that's in the middle, or the symbol that's in the middle. And so this has been correctly factored. So this is equal to 0, which means that 2u minus 1 equals 0, or u plus 1 equals 0. Over here we can add 1 to both sides. So we get 2u equals 1, divide both sides by 2, so we get u is equal to 1/2 is one possibility. Or here, u is equal to negative 1 is the other possibility. And with that, we're ready to bring back what was that U filling in for? Well, that U was filling in for this sine of A. So this is telling us that the sine of A is equal to 1/2. For this one, we're concentrating on this one first. When is the sine of A equal to 1/2? That is something that you should know because that is the trig value of a special angle. What angle is the sine of that angle equal to 1/2? Well, I think you'll find that the sine of, maybe it helps to draw the picture out. If you only go 30 degrees, then you've gone over more than you've gone up. You've only gone up halfway. So here at 30 degrees, we end up with a sine of 1/2. And so A equals 30 is one possibility. But here is 30 degrees, right? There's 30 degrees. This is a sine, so we have to reflect it across the y-axis, so we end up right there. If this is 30, that means the reflection here is 30, which means all the way is 180. We have to back it up. So 180 minus 30, the other angle is 150. So here are two angles that work. Now let's concentrate on where U equals -1. That means that the sine of A equals -1. Where will the sine of A be -1? Look at the unit circle. The sine depends upon the y values. Where on the y-axis is it -1? Well, that's down here. It's a unit circle. The coordinates of this point are 0, -1. There is no other place where we have this happen. This is 90, this is 180, this is 180 plus 90, and so A equals 270 is another angle where we end up with the sine of -1. And since it's a sine, we have to reflect across the y-axis, but since we're on the y-axis, when you reflect, you don't move, and so that's what it is. Here are three different angles. Here are the three different angles that satisfy this equation. And these are our final answers.